So here's the thing. I've always been a guy who likes control. Not the creepy kind, just the kind where you triple-check the thermostat before bed and alphabetize your spice rack. I like when things line up, when the world makes sense. When I say I'm going to throw my wife the most memorable birthday party she's ever had, I mean it. And I did. Oh, I did. Our house. Spotless. The catering? Top shelf. Lobster rolls and champagne flutes tall enough to double as flower vases. I even rented one of those LED dance floors that light up like some futuristic disco. Everyone from her law firm showed up. Her sister flew in from Denver. Hell, I even invited her yoga instructor, even though that woman once called me the human beige. The only person who didn't seem excited about the party was my wife. Now don't get me wrong, she smiled. She hugged. She made all the right noises. But I've been with Nicole for 7 years, and I know her default setting when she's genuinely happy. She hums. It's this soft little tuneless thing she does, especially when she's around food. That night, not a hum in sight, but I didn't overthink it. Not yet. She was in her silver dress, that one that hugs her curves like it's in love with her, and sipping a glass of brut with her best friend Claire. Everyone was buzzing about how great the place looked, about how sweet it was that I put this all together for her, about how lucky she was to have a husband like me. And then her phone buzzed. Twice. Same contact name both times. UberDriver. Now listen, I'm not the paranoid type. Really, I'm not. But Nicole? She doesn't use Uber. She's got a Jeep Grand Cherokee that she babies like it's her firstborn. I once suggested getting her car detailed, and she acted like I threatened to sell her dog. So why? At her own surprise birthday party, surrounded by catered food and people she pretends to like, was she getting 2 texts from UberDriver back to back? I picked her phone up off the table. Just for a second. The screen was still lit. UberDriver. Still thinking about last night. You taste like champagne and regret. Classy. UberDriver. You around, or is your boy playing house husband again? I didn't react. I didn't throw the phone. I didn't even blink. I just put it back exactly where it was and smiled like I'd just remembered the lyrics to a song I loved. Because see, I'm not the kind of man who flips tables. I'm the kind of man who builds them, slowly, carefully, until the legs are solid and the screws tight. And then, I let the whole thing collapse when everyone's watching. And oh, they'd be watching. The rest of the night played out like some cruel comedy. She blew out her candles. I gave a sweet, humble little toast. She kissed my cheek, barely brushed it really. And all I could think about was the phrase, playing house husband again. I waited until she was distracted, laughing with co-workers in the kitchen, and I slid upstairs with my iPad and a plan. See, a few months ago, I'd helped Nicole switch over to a new phone. She's not exactly a tech wizard, so she let me back everything up, which meant I knew her iCloud credentials, which meant I could log in and see everything if I wanted. Tonight, I wanted. Her texts were synced. And man, did UberDriver have a lot to say. His real name was Travis, apparently. Worked at her firm. Junior associate. Thought he was hot stuff because he once got quoted in a Business Insider piece about crypto law. And Nicole? She was all in. She told him she was going to leave me soon. That she couldn't stand sleeping next to a man who folds his socks. Really, Nicole? I clicked through the threads. There were photos, some of him shirtless in what I assume was the firm's bathroom, and some of her wearing that silver dress, but apparently not for the first time. One photo was time-stamped from 2 nights ago. Same dress, same makeup, different location. A hotel room, if the beige wallpaper and tiny desk lamp were any indication. I didn't get mad. I got methodical. Because while most people go for heartbreak or rage, I go for receipts. I screen recorded the whole conversation. Then I dug through the hotel's website. Guess what? They had cameras in the hallway. One polite call pretending to be the worried husband of a woman who might have been followed got me a 30-second clip of Nicole giggling her way down the hall at midnight with Crypto Boy. I airdropped it all to my iPad. And then I went back downstairs and danced with my wife. Like nothing had happened. Because the cake hadn't even been served yet. Later, when everyone gathered in the living room for one more toast, Nicole tried to wave me off. She said she was tired. Said she had a headache. Oh, come on, I said with a smile. One last birthday wish for the birthday girl, yeah? Everyone raised their glasses. I stood in the center, held mine high. Nicole, I said, you are the love of my life. The reason I get up every morning and the reason I've memorized 4 versions of your Starbucks order. Laughter. You've taught me so much. Patience, trust, and tonight, especially, clarity. Her smile wavered just a hair. I wanted this night to be unforgettable, and I think it will be. And then I tapped the iPad. The screen behind me, the one that had been looping a slideshow of our pictures, suddenly went black. Then it played a video. No title, just footage. First, the screen recording of her messages. One by one. Then the hotel hallway clip. There was a pause in the room. You know that kind of pause that's too quiet? Where even the drunk guy in the corner shuts up. She stood frozen, eyes locked on the screen like it was showing her own funeral. Because in a way, it was. When I tell you the room went dead silent, I mean it in the most literal, pin drop kind of way. No one moved. No one spoke. The only sound came from the soft hum of the projector and the subtle clink of someone's champagne glass nervously touching a tray. On screen, the footage rolled on, her messages to Travis. A flurry of, when are you going to take me away from all this? And he doesn't make me feel alive like you do. The kind of melodramatic crap people say when they think no one's watching. Well, someone was watching now. Nicole didn't move at first. Just stood there in front of the fireplace with her wine glass halfway to her lips, caught mid-sip like she was frozen in amber. Her face drained about 3 shades lighter than her foundation, and those careful little smile lines around her mouth collapsed like a circus tent with the poles kicked out. I turned to face the crowd, roughly 40 people, give or take. Friends, co-workers, a few family members. Her parents were there too. Her dad looked like he was seeing his daughter for the first time. Her mom. Well, let's just say there's a reason I never trusted that woman. She clutched her pearls like we were in the middle of a 1940s courtroom drama. The next video started playing, the hallway footage. It wasn't long, just 30 seconds, grainy as hell. But it showed enough. Nicole, laughing, staggering slightly in heels, arm in arm with some 20-something douchebag in a blazer. He had his hand right on her lower back, guiding her into the hotel room like he was escorting a princess into a carriage. And then, click, door closes. End of show. Gasps. Lots of them. Claire, the best friend, just whispered, Jesus Christ. Nicole finally found her voice. Mark, she said, sharp but shaky. Can we please go outside and talk? I held up my glass. We're already outside, sweetheart. This is as public as it gets. A few people actually laughed. Mostly the guys. Her boss, Grant, the same guy she once told me was like a father figure at the firm, stood by the snack table with his mouth slightly open, like someone had just spoiled the ending to a movie he hadn't watched yet. She took a step toward me, then stopped herself. You had no right to do this, she hissed. Quiet, but not quiet enough. This is my party. I took a step back, held up both hands. You're absolutely right. I just figured if you're going to screw around like it's spring break, you shouldn't be surprised when it turns into Girls Gone Viral. One of the interns from her firm coughed to hide a laugh. Another guy, not sure who he was, just straight up clapped once before realizing it wasn't that kind of moment. Nicole's eyes darted around the room. Everyone, I am so sorry, she began. This is completely inappropriate. Inappropriate. I cut in. Nicole, sweetie, cheating on your husband is inappropriate. Exposing it during a catered event is just festive. Her face twisted like she'd bitten into a lemon dipped in battery acid. Now, I could have stopped there. I could have walked out with my dignity, let the scandal sit like spilled red wine on a white rug, but I wasn't quite finished. Also, I added, pulling a manila envelope from the inside of my blazer. While we're doing party favors, I've got something for you. I handed it to her with a smile that could slice drywall. Open it. She hesitated, then tore it open with the delicacy of someone expecting a glitter bomb. Inside, paperwork. Thick, stamped, notarized. Divorce papers. Nicole blinked. You're divorcing me? Oh no, I said. I divorced you. Past tense. Filed last week. My lawyer expedited everything after I found the first set of texts. Apparently, infidelity speeds things up, legally speaking. I turned to the crowd again. Quick shout out to Harrison Gold and Associates. If anyone needs a good family lawyer, they're the real MVPs. I watched it sink in. Her expression flickered. Shock, panic, disbelief, and something close to rage. But buried underneath all of it was something better. Fear. Because here's what she hadn't figured out yet. I wasn't just nuking our marriage. I was torching the ground she walked on. I leaned in, lowered my voice. Also, I figured I'd save you the trouble of packing. You can crash at Travis's place. The house. Already sold. Closed escrow 2 days ago. Her lips parted. You're lying. Am I? I said, flashing my phone screen. Realtor app. Status, sold. She looked around like the walls were closing in. You sold the house. Oh, I flipped the house. Got a cash offer from some tech bro who loved the backyard sauna. Fun fact, he hates dogs and says no live-in partners. So don't expect visitation rights for the rose bushes you planted. She looked like she might faint, which, honestly, would have been the icing on the cake. I paid for half that down payment, she said, her voice strangled. And I bought out your share last month, I replied. With a private loan from a guy you never bothered to talk to at my job. You remember Ray, right? He's in finance. You thought he was boring. Turns out boring guys make very useful allies when your life explodes. She was breathing heavy now. Panic was taking root. Where am I supposed to go? I raised an eyebrow. Motel? Couch? Travis's bachelor pad? Not my concern. I watched her squirm, and I'll be honest, if I could bottle the feeling of that moment and sell it, I'd be a millionaire by the weekend. Claire took a small step toward her. Nick, maybe we should go. Go, I said. Please. Take her somewhere. Somewhere not here. This is still technically my house for the next 12 hours, and I'd like to spend that time not staring at a human betrayal piñata. And with that, Nicole turned and walked out, heels clicking like the world's most pathetic metronome. She didn't look back. The crowd lingered awkwardly for a bit. A few tried to say something to me. I'm sorry, man, or I didn't know, but I just waved them off. I wasn't mad at them. I just didn't want sympathy. I wanted silence. Eventually, they left, one by one, except Claire, who stayed behind long enough to help pack up some of the leftover food into containers. We didn't talk. I sat down on the edge of the dance floor, which now looked sort of ridiculous, flashing like it wanted to pretend the night had been fun. I watched it for a while, sipping the last of my drink, and then turned it off with one tap. Dark, still, and weirdly, peaceful. At around midnight, my phone buzzed. Not Nicole. Not Travis. It was the buyer's agent confirming the funds had cleared. The house was gone. Nicole was gone. But me? I'd never felt more at home. Let me tell you something nobody warns you about. When you burn your life down, the quiet afterward isn't peaceful. It's surgical. Clinical. Cold like a hotel hallway at 3 a.m. You don't feel free. Not at first. You feel hollow. Not in a tragic, poetic way. More like someone gutted you and forgot to fill the space with something useful. That's what the next morning felt like. The party was over. The guests were gone. The house was empty, physically, and, as of that morning, legally. I had signed the final closing documents by noon. By 3 p.m., a moving truck hauled away what little I wanted to keep. I watched from the street with a half-eaten protein bar and a thermos full of cold coffee, dressed in my oldest hoodie and a pair of cargo shorts that had survived everything from college to a bachelor party in Vegas. They were ugly, but they'd never cheated on me, so they got to stay. Nicole? She hadn't called. Not a text, not an email, not a weak attempt at justification. I'd blocked her number, of course, but there were workarounds if she really wanted to reach me. I guess texting your ex-husband loses its appeal when you've just been evicted from your double life in front of a catered audience. I imagined her waking up somewhere foreign, maybe in Travis's trendy little apartment, full of IKEA furniture and tragic motivational posters. Hustle harder, in Comic Sans, or whatever. I pictured her sitting on the edge of his bed, wearing yesterday's makeup and trying to figure out if she should fake confidence or go straight to crocodile tears. I smiled to myself and sipped the worst coffee I'd ever made. That's what satisfaction tastes like. Burnt grounds and emotional closure. The next week was a blur. I moved into a short-term rental downtown, modern, industrial, and intentionally sterile. No memories in the walls. No dog-eared photos taped to the fridge. Just me, my laptop, and a king-size bed that suddenly felt way too big. Work kept me busy, thankfully. I run digital infrastructure for a few mid-sized logistics companies, mostly automating inventory pipelines and server transitions. Glamorous, I know. It doesn't impress people at parties, but it pays extremely well and gives me all the alone time I want. But at night? At night, I would sit on the edge of that ridiculous new bed and rewatch that party footage like it was my favorite episode of a long-running drama. The look on her face. The stunned silence. The very moment her life split clean in half like a log under an axe. I could have let it go after that. Most people would. But most people don't catch their wife mid-affair on her birthday. Most people don't see 2 years of lies condensed into one perfectly petty slideshow. So I kept going. See, the thing about revenge? If you stop too early, it's just anger. But if you carry it all the way through, it becomes a masterpiece. It started with Travis. I didn't go after him directly. That would have been messy, immature. Instead, I made a new LinkedIn profile under the name Ben Riker. No photo, no connections. Just a quietly crafted account listing me as a recruiter for a fictitious boutique law firm based out of Chicago. Then I did some sleuthing. Turns out our boy Travis had been applying to better jobs, mid-tier corporate law gigs in the city. He'd listed significant contract negotiation experience on his resume and even name-dropped Nicole as a mentor. So, Ben reached out, said he had a position that might be a great fit. We exchanged a few emails. I asked for references. Travis gave me 2, and both had no idea who I was when I called. Strike 1. Then I told him the hiring partners were concerned about office relationships and asked if he'd had any with a superior in his last job. His reply? Nothing serious. Just some late nights, if you know what I mean. You scratch my back, I'll brief your clients. Huh. Strike 2. Finally, I said we needed to run a background verification process and asked for a list of previous firms, clients, and HR contacts. He sent it without blinking. I took all that and forwarded it to his firm's actual HR department, along with every screenshot and video clip Nicole had so generously provided via iCloud. I didn't include a message. Didn't need to. By the next Tuesday, Travis's LinkedIn headline changed from associate attorney at Peterson, Lang & Keller to just seeking opportunities. Strike 3. He was out. Now Nicole. Oh, Nicole. You'd think that after the party, the texts, the public humiliation, and losing the house, she'd slink off into obscurity. Maybe change her number. Maybe move to another city. You'd be wrong. She went nuclear. About 10 days after the party, my sister calls me. She sounds cautious, like someone who just stepped on a landmine and isn't sure if letting go will make it explode. She showed up at Mom's house, she says. I blinked. Excuse me. Nicole said she wanted to talk to you. Mom didn't let her in. She cried. A lot. Classic. The tears, the desperate gestures, the weaponized nostalgia. She brought cookies, my sister added, like that detail might be important. Oh, well, in that case, I said. She can totally come back into my life. Who needs self-respect when you've got baked goods? She looked rough, my sister admitted. Like really rough. Good. Let her rot. But I wasn't satisfied yet. Not until the last thread was cut. A few days later, I scheduled a lunch meeting with Nicole's boss, Grant. Remember him? Father figure at the firm. Stood there mute at the party while her life unraveled like discount tinsel. He agreed to meet, probably out of sheer curiosity. We sat at a quiet corner table at this overpriced Italian place near his office. He looked like someone who'd been through the ringer. Hair thinner than I remembered, eyes twitchy. Stress will do that to you. So we're watching your golden girl implode in real time. I didn't think you'd want to talk, he said. I didn't either, I replied. But I figured if I'm cleaning up messes, might as well go for the whole broom closet. He didn't smile. He didn't even blink. I handed him a slim folder. Inside, a copy of Nicole's non-disclosure agreement from the firm's client confidentiality policy, a printout of her Slack conversations with Travis. Yes, I had those too, and an anonymous complaint I drafted and printed on clean white paper. I'm not here to cause trouble, I said. But you might want to review this before the firm does. He flipped through the pages. No emotion, just a slow, heavy breath. Then he closed the folder. Thank you, he said. Don't thank me, I said. Just make sure no one else like her gets promoted on their back while someone else is out buying them a birthday cake. That one landed. Back home. Well, back at the rental, I sat down on the new couch, opened a beer, and stared out the window. It was done. All of it. The party. The reveal. The revenge. The slow, deliberate purge of every connection she had. She had nothing left of me now. No house. No career safety net. No golden boy side piece with firm job prospects. And me? I was free. Free in a way that wasn't lonely. Free like a man who finally pulled the last dagger out of his spine and tossed it into the fire. I looked down at my phone. It buzzed once. Unknown number. No message. Just a missed call. I smiled. She was trying to reach me again. I let it ring. Let it stop. then blocked the number without a second thought. She made her choice. I just made sure she remembered it forever. People think revenge ends when the damage is done. Like there's a finish line you cross, and suddenly you feel lighter, cleaner, whole. That's a lie. Revenge doesn't end. It just changes shape. It becomes silence, absence, space. It's the sound of her realizing no one's coming to save her. Not me, not Travis, not the boss she swore had her back. It's the deafening quiet of being left behind. That's what I gave her. Not forgiveness. Not confrontation. Just distance. Indifference served cold on a concrete plate. And the best part? She still hadn't figured out that I wasn't even close to finished. Let's talk about Nicole's career. You already know Travis got flushed like the world's most pompous goldfish. But Nicole? She tried to weather the storm. Posted a few brave face selfies on Instagram. Captioned things like fresh starts and strong coffee hot beverage flexed biceps. The kind of things people post when their lives are actively crumbling. She even threw up a quote once that said, "Rock bottom became the foundation on which I rebuilt my life." Cute. Except her rock bottom hadn't arrived yet. Not really. What she was experiencing, that was just turbulence. I was the crash. See, I hadn't touched the firm directly after I met with Grant. I'd given him what he needed, sure, but I hadn't lit the final match. That changed when I received a package in the mail. It was from Nicole, a handwritten letter. The envelope smelled like her perfume, same overpriced scent she used to dab on her wrists before court appearances. I didn't open it right away, just sat there on the kitchen stool of my sad little rental, flipping the envelope between my fingers. The handwriting was still perfect, scripted like a woman who wanted control over how even her apologies looked. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me. The letter was 4 pages long, full of sentimental landmines. Stuff like, "You and I built a life. I was stupid. I lost sight of it. He didn't mean anything. It was a phase. I was lonely. You were distant. Can we talk?" No, we couldn't talk. Because I don't do reruns. Especially not the kind where I know the ending already sucks. I folded the letter carefully, lit a match, and dropped the whole thing in the sink. Then I pulled out my laptop and opened my email drafts. Let's talk about the compliance report. You remember how Nicole and Travis were exchanging flirty Slack messages? Well, some of those messages involved actual client case details. Nothing major, no names, no data leaks, but enough to be flagged as a breach of the firm's confidentiality agreement. And I had receipts. I packaged everything, screenshots, timestamps, quotes, and attached it to a clean, professional email address to the firm's compliance officer. No threats, no commentary. Just subject line, potential internal policy violation, urgent review requested. I hit send. It took exactly 6 days before her LinkedIn changed. Open to work. Underneath, former senior case strategist at Peterson, Lang, and Keller. Just like that. Gone. She tried calling again the following week. New number. Left a voicemail this time. Her voice sounded hollow, like someone trying to smile while crying. "Mark, please. I just want to talk. I know I messed up, but I've lost everything. Can we just meet?" I didn't respond. I didn't even delete the message. I just archived it. Like a trophy. Let her sit in that voicemail inbox with the other junk that doesn't belong anymore. Then came the apartment. That's right, Travis's place. Turns out, bachelor pad life isn't quite as glamorous when both of you are unemployed and one of you still sleeps like a starfish. From what I gathered. Thanks to Claire, who'd taken a sudden interest in reporting Nicole's every move. Things soured fast. He asked her to move out. Claire told me over coffee one afternoon. "Oh yeah," I said, stirring sugar into my espresso. "Guess the honeymoon phase ends when the Wi-Fi bill hits." Claire smirked. She's back at her parents' place now, sleeping in her childhood room. Posters still on the wall and everything. That was almost too good to be true. "You think she's learned anything?" Claire sipped her drink and shrugged. "She still thinks you'll come around. Not even if she showed up with a notarized apology and a reverse mortgage on her soul." She laughed. "You're colder than I thought." "I'm not cold," I said. "I'm cured." I kept busy. Started seeing a therapist. Not because I was broken. Frankly, I felt the most clear-headed I'd ever been. But because I wanted to make sure I didn't become the kind of guy who lets this stuff rot him from the inside out. We talked a lot about identity, loyalty, betrayal. My therapist was a quiet guy named Wes who nodded more than he spoke. But he asked one question I didn't see coming. What did you love about her? He said. I froze. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because I did. Nicole had been thrilling. Not in a fireworks and motorcycles kind of way, but in the way she always made the world seem like a challenge. She was sharp, sarcastic, a little ruthless. She made every conversation feel like a chess match, and I loved winning. But somewhere along the way, she stopped letting me win. Stopped even playing fairly. And that was the beginning of the end. I told Wes all this. He just nodded and said, "It's a good sign that you can answer the question without romanticizing it." He was right. I didn't miss Nicole. I missed the idea of her. And ideas can be replaced. Speaking of replacement, I'd started seeing someone. Her name was Ava. We met at a networking event, a tech consultant with a wicked sense of humor and a love for board games. She didn't ask invasive questions. She didn't rush things. And when I told her I'd been married, she didn't blink. That explains the intense eye contact, she said with a smirk. She was nothing like Nicole, which made her perfect. Nicole found out, of course. That's the thing about mutual friends. They never know when to shut up. Claire told me Nicole saw a tagged photo of us at a wine bar and promptly went full Shakespearean tragedy in the group chat. She said something about how she never realized what she lost until it was wearing flannel and smiling like a man who got his soul back, Claire reported. That's poetic, I said. She also said you're probably just dating someone to hurt her. Of course she did. Classic narcissist logic. If I move on, it must be about her. Couldn't possibly be because, some people prefer partners who don't lie and cheat and text other men from a shared bed. Ava didn't care about any of it. When I told her the whole story, sparing no detail, she didn't flinch. Just asked if I wanted to order more fries and if Nicole had ever returned the KitchenAid mixer. She hadn't. So, that was life now. New place. New partner. Old wounds scabbed over. Nicole, still clinging to whatever scraps she could. I'd heard she was applying to smaller firms, ones that wouldn't ask too many questions. But the legal world is small, and whispers travel fast. Her old firm didn't blacklist her, but let's just say no one was sending her LinkedIn endorsements. Last I heard, she was waiting tables part-time at a wine bar downtown. Not the same one I went to with Ava, but close enough that she probably checks the reservation list every night, hoping she doesn't see my name. Or maybe hoping she does. Either way, not my problem. Because if there's one thing I've learned through all this, it's that the best revenge isn't the big dramatic moment. It's the part where you forget they exist. I never saw myself as the kind of guy who gets to walk away clean. I always figured that when life finally decided to run me over, I'd just be another cliché, another sad sap crying in a hotel bar over a half-priced whiskey and a woman who changed. But nope. Turns out I'm not the one with a cautionary tale. I'm the caution. Nicole didn't just lose me. She lost the version of me who would have ever taken her back. And as the dust settled, as life began to resemble something almost normal again, I realized something else too. There's a difference between surviving betrayal and weaponizing it. And what I had done, that was a symphony of wreckage. I didn't feel bad about it. Not even a little. But the really messed up part? I was starting to enjoy watching her live in the aftermath. 3 weeks after her voicemail, long after she should have taken the hint that I wasn't biting, Nicole did something I didn't expect. She showed up. Not at my place. That would have been too direct for her. No, she found out about my gym. I go 3 times a week. Same time, same days, same small downtown building full of tech bros and overconfident yoga moms. I liked the routine. It felt predictable. Safe. Until it wasn't. I just finished my 3rd set of lat pull-downs when I spotted her, leaning against the smoothie bar like she was auditioning for a toothpaste commercial. Hair curled. Full makeup. Wearing her, "Oops, I didn't mean to dress hot," athleisure set, which, for the record, is code for please notice me. I saw her before she saw me, and for a split second, my stomach twisted, not because I missed her, but because she looked exactly like the person I used to think I loved. Like nothing had changed. Like the betrayal was just a footnote, not the whole story. But I shook it off. Walked right past her without a word. Didn't even look. That must have killed her more than any snide comment could have. She followed me outside. "Mark," she said, breathless, jogging to catch up. "Please, can we just talk?" "Nope," I replied, not even slowing down. "You won't even give me 5 minutes?" I stopped at the edge of the sidewalk and turned to face her. "You had 7 years, Nicole. You used them to text a guy named Travis about how boring I was. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. Goldfish in yoga pants. It wasn't like that, she said finally. I raised an eyebrow. You're going to stand there and tell me the hotel hallway camera footage was photoshopped. She swallowed hard. I made a mistake. No, I corrected. You made about 400 mistakes. I've got the screenshots to prove it. I was confused. No, I was confused. You were calculated. She crossed her arms, hugging herself like the cold might offer some kind of sympathy. You're different now. Yeah, I said. Turns out betrayal gives you a personality upgrade. I stepped into the street, leaving her on the curb, blinking into the sunlight like she'd never been dumped by a moving conversation before. Felt good. Almost too good. Later that night, I told Ava. We were lying on her couch, her legs tangled with mine. Succession playing in the background. She laughed at the story, not because it was funny, but because she couldn't believe Nicole had the gall to show up in real life like some kind of badly written rom-com villain. You think she'll try again? Ava asked. If she does, I said, I'll change gyms. Or cities. Whatever's easier. She leaned over, kissed my cheek, and said, just don't change girlfriends. I smiled. Because Ava? She was the kind of woman who didn't need attention from a room full of people to feel important. She didn't speak in riddles. She didn't need to be fixed or saved or emotionally babysat. She just was. And that was enough. Now, if this story ended there, me moving on, Nicole spiraling, and Travis flipping burgers for rent money, that'd be satisfying enough, right? But no, Nicole still had one more move left in her. And she played it exactly the way I should have expected, with a legal envelope. She tried to come for the savings account. Let me back up. See, Nicole and I had a joint account. It wasn't massive, maybe $30,000 or so, but we kept it untouched, reserved for emergencies or vacations we never took. When I filed for divorce, I froze it. Not closed, not transferred, just locked. Why? Because I knew she'd forget about it. And I also knew that once her ego bruised deep enough, she'd remember. Sure enough, her lawyer's letter arrived on a Friday. The same day I was supposed to meet Ava's parents for the first time. Real fun vibe setter. Nicole's legal argument? That the account was marital property and I'd maliciously withheld funds. My response? I sent a certified letter back, attaching a notarized agreement she had signed during our first refinancing of the house. It clearly stated the account was to be used only for joint expenses, and that if either of us committed financial or marital misconduct, the other party could legally withhold access. The marital misconduct part? Guess who defined it in the original clause? Nicole. That's right. She was the one who insisted we include it, just in case one of us goes rogue someday, she'd joked. I guess she never expected to be the rogue. Her lawyer went silent after that. No further letters. No further requests. She lost again. But what she didn't know, that money wasn't even there anymore. I'd already moved it, weeks earlier, into a new account in my name. And I'd used half of it to buy Ava something she'd casually mentioned wanting a few weeks back. A vintage pinball machine. Why? Because love isn't diamonds and grand gestures. It's spending thousands of dollars to surprise your girlfriend with the exact model of machine she used to play with her dad in 1997 at a pizza place that no longer exists. Nicole never got that. She wanted fireworks. Ava? She appreciated the fuse. Now here's the twist. Not for Nicole. For me. See, I thought I'd burned it all down. That there was nothing left for her to ruin. That she couldn't touch me anymore. But betrayal? It echoes. One morning, while doing a quarterly credit check. Yes, I'm that guy. I found a hard inquiry I didn't recognize. A pre-approval request from a bank I never used. I followed the thread. Long story short, Nicole tried to open a line of credit using our old joint information, thinking, I guess, that if the account was frozen and I'd moved on, maybe the bank wouldn't care. They cared. And I cared too. I forwarded everything to my attorney. She'll be hearing from them next. By now, you'd think Nicole would get the message. That I wasn't her doormat anymore. That there was no version of this story where she came out clean. But narcissists don't read endings. They just rewrite beginnings. She posted a quote on her Instagram last week. I saw it because, of course, someone sent it to me. It read, "The phoenix must burn to emerge." Except, Nicole, you didn't burn. You got burned. And what rose from the ashes wasn't a phoenix. It was me. Better. Sharper. Done. You ever have a dream where you're back in a place you've outgrown, like your childhood home or your high school? and everything feels smaller? That's what it felt like seeing Nicole again for the last time. Not that I knew it would be the last at the time, but looking back, it was like the final chapter was already halfway written. I was just flipping through the pages in real time. Let's rewind. The whole thing started with a brunch invitation. Claire texted me, "Hey, awkward heads up. Nicole's gonna be at Beth's birthday brunch this Sunday. She RSVP'd late. Didn't think you'd care, but now I'm second-guessing. Want me to tell her not to come?" Now, under normal circumstances, I'd say no and keep my distance. But something about the way Claire asked, like she was offering me one last laugh, or maybe a chance to slam the door closed with a little more flair, made me curious. So I went. I didn't warn Ava. I didn't need to. She could handle herself, and besides, she knew the whole story by now. Every messy thread, every line of betrayal, every petty victory. So we walked in together. And let me tell you, Nicole saw us before I saw her. That much was obvious. She was wearing a pale blue wrap dress, the kind she used to call her effortless elegance outfit. Hair curled just so, earrings glinting like they had something to prove. She looked good, but I didn't feel anything. Not anger, not pain, not nostalgia, just detachment. She was a photo I'd already taken, a memory I'd long since deleted from my mental hard drive, backed up and wiped clean. Still, she stood up when she saw us. Probably instinct, like a dog reacting to an old whistle. Ava slid her hand into mine. "Is that her?" she whispered. "Yep. She looks like she shops for forgiveness on clearance." I stifled a laugh. "You're not wrong." Nicole gave me a tight smile. "Mark." "Nicole." There was a long, awkward pause where no one quite knew whether to sit down or start slow clapping the tension. "You look good," she said, eyeing Ava for half a second longer than necessary. "Thanks," I said. "Freedom suits me." Ava coughed politely. "Love the dress. Very forgiving." Nicole blinked. Didn't respond. Probably because sarcasm doesn't have a built-in translation when you're the punchline. We didn't sit next to her. Obviously. We grabbed our mimosas, found a table by the window, and made polite conversation with people who weren't emotionally radioactive. I half expected Nicole to keep her head down, pretend it wasn't weird, blend into the background like just another sad brunch ghost. But no, of course not. She had to say something. Right as Ava stepped away to take a call, Nicole made her move. She walked over to my table with her wine glass, like she was approaching a diplomatic summit. "I'm not here to cause a scene," she said quietly. "Good," I replied, "because scenes require an audience, and yours already left." Her eyes flickered. "Look, I wanted you to know I'm sorry." "Really? Are you?" She hesitated. "I didn't handle things well. I was confused. I was in a bad place." I tilted my head. "Nicole, you weren't in a bad place. You were in a hotel room." Repeatedly. "I just thought." "No, that was your problem. You didn't think. You acted. And now you're here, showing up like this is some closure brunch, where we all hug it out and say the past is the past." She set her glass down. "Can we not do this in public?" I leaned forward slightly, my tone calm but precise. "You had no problem humiliating me in private. I'm just giving you the same dignity in reverse." She looked away. Her facade cracked for the briefest moment. Maybe she thought she could wear me down. Maybe she still saw the man who bought her roses every other Friday and made her coffee just the way she liked it. Extra hot, splash of almond milk, no sugar. But that guy was gone, buried under a mountain of lies and business trips and screen recordings. "You've made your point," she said softly. "Have I? Because every time I think you've hit rock bottom, you bring a shovel." Her eyes welled up. Not the full-on tears, just enough moisture to make her lashes sparkle, to suggest regret without committing to it. "You hate me." "I don't," I said. "That would require caring." And with that, I stood up, left my drink untouched, and walked out the front door. Ava met me outside. She raised an eyebrow. "All good?" "Yeah," I said. "Just took out the emotional trash." 3 days later, Nicole deactivated her social media. Claire said she'd gotten sick of people liking all my new photos. Said it made her feel invisible. Good. Let her feel like a ghost. Because that's all she ever was. A version of love I invented. A role she played until the curtain dropped and the costume fell off. And just when I thought that was the final act, something even better happened. I got a letter. Not from her. From Travis. No return address. Just a single envelope slipped into my mailbox with surprisingly clean handwriting. Inside was a typed note. One sentence. She tried to contact me again. I blocked her too. That was it. I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. I just stared at the paper for a full minute, letting the irony soak into my bones. Nicole had become the thing she feared most, irrelevant. Not just dumped, discarded. By the man she thought was her escape hatch. By the man who ruined his career for her. By the man who, at one point, she thought would replace me. Turns out, he'd rather walk away than relive what I already survived. It's been 8 months since the birthday party. The night it all blew up. I don't think about Nicole much anymore. Just once in a while, when I pass by a bakery she used to love, or when someone uses the phrase, "we need to talk," and I instinctively reach for a glass of whiskey. Ava and I are solid. She's met my mom. We're planning a trip to Spain. She wants to see the museums. I want to drink sangria and people watch. We laugh a lot. We argue about dumb things. How much garlic is too much garlic? Whether pineapple on pizza is forgivable. It feels normal. And after the circus that was my marriage, normal feels like winning the lottery. One night, as we were getting ready for bed, Ava asked, "Do you ever think she regrets it?" I paused, brushing my teeth. Thought about the party, the camera footage, the voicemail, the brunch, the letter. "I think she regrets getting caught," I said. Ava nodded. Fair, but real regret. I continued. That comes when you realize you didn't just lose what you had. You lost what you'll never have again. And what's that? Someone who loved her even when she didn't deserve it. Ava didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Some things don't require a response. Some things just are. Like the past. Like the consequences. Like poetic justice, served cold on a birthday platter. And that's how it ends. Not with an explosion. Not with revenge porn or fiery courtroom drama. But with a quiet truth. She thought I'd never leave. She thought I'd break, beg, crumble. She thought she could cheat and crawl back. She was wrong. She didn't lose a husband. She lost a man who once would have given her everything. And now? Now I give her nothing. Not love. Not hate. Not attention. Just silence. And for someone like her, that's the loudest thing in the world. End. Subscribe to the channel